Hey, man.
Hey,
You want to play a game?
I'd love to play a game.
We've done
I
that.
think we got a couple times.
We've been doing that our entire lives.
Our whole lives.
Since we were about yay tall.
Thank you, Dad.
Sports board games. It is a. It was a way of life for us back in the day.
Oh,
we're going to talk about them a little bit if you're interested, which I think you should be.
Oh yeah, it's just
Come on in.
It's great. You need to come do it.
Come on in. Let's talk about them a little bit. And welcome back to the Midnight Riders podcast. I'm Johnny.
I'm Chuck.
And we talked earlier when we first started the podcast that we were sports board game enthusiasts from way back.
Sports board games.
Sports board games. Well, I mean, I'll play you a game of Clue and I'll whoop your ass.
I'll do some Risk and some Clue.
You
my heart's with this.
Of course it is. It was our video games back in the day, gentlemen or ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, young people. We didn't have video games, and so this is what we did. We would grab one of these off the shelf and let's just go play a little bit. And they were a way of life for us back in the day. On the rainy days when we couldn't go out and play sports, we just did this.
I'll tell you what, between board games and I was a big card collector, and between that and my cards, and man, there was never a dull moment.
No. Board games, sports board games from way back, I got tons of them in here. I got these right here. We got showing here. I've got, just looking back here, I got probably 10, 15 more over there. Turned into, for lack of a better term, they've become antiques. And I pick them up whenever I can. I've got several over there that just wouldn't fit right here. That the old talking football game, I got one of those.
I used to have the old VHS.
Yeah, we'll bring that sucker
game.
But the one where you put the little disc in the little holder.
Oh yeah.
Bring that out. I'll bring that out here one of these days. We'll play a game right here for you guys.
Yeah.
And boy, won't that be fun. But no, I mean, sports board games have they haven't evolved much anymore. You don't find them.
Not a whole lot. I mean, there's a few of them that are still out. The APBA, which is these bigger ones down here.
This guy right here.
They're still a functioning company.
I guess they started back in the 50s?
They were back in the 50s. They still have, they still have forums. They still have leagues. They still have, I mean, it's big back on the East Coast, I know.
Right.
We actually, figured out part of the formulas to create them. I still create. Yeah, I'm in the process of doing a cards right now for all-time teams.
Sure, I mean you could go back
extremely realistic.
You could used to buy this team. You probably still can.
You can still buy them.
They still
and Status Pro.
Status Pro. Status Pro baseball. I played it often, but it just got a little bit. I don't know. It turned into.
It's a little cumbersome.
Which one? Status Pro?
Status Pro.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
I think it's more realistic than the Stratomatic they also came out with. Now Stratomatic was hard.
Stratomatic, it was just.
It was too much.
It was a lot.
Yeah, it was too much. Whereas the APBA system is such a clean. It's such a clean system.
I want to say it's simple, but you get for those of us who play it and don't want the. I love video games.
Sure.
But if you don't want the video game effect.
Correct.
Of, say, somebody hitting 147 home runs in a season, which is doable on that. And these things, if you're more of a stat kind of person, if you're more of a realistic kind of person and just want to do that on your own time kind of things, the APBA, Status Pro, great games.
Well, they're great games. I tell you,
based on stats.
Pull this game out. I'll give you an idea of what we're talking about. Here, get that baseball out of there. Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, looky there. Come on, hang on there. See if we can do this.
Got too many. All right, there you go.
All right. Well, I mean, the Status Pro baseball game, it's built in such a way.
This is APBA, by the way.
I mean, APBA. I'm sorry. It's an easier game to play
for
the young folks out there.
I'm about to teach I've been talking to my grandson, who is 10 years old. I've been talking to him about it. And
Here, open that up. This
huge baseball fan. And so
the game itself is you simply roll 2 dice and you read them, such as you have a large and a small die, 6-side die, and you roll them, and a 1-6 would be a 16.
Really, you got to give me the Yankees.
Yeah, I saw it. That's what I grabbed. 2 and a 5 would be a 25. A big 3 and a small 2 would be a 32. Then you just take that number, you read it off of the card. It's got a number adjoining to the card. You read the board, and it tells you what happened. It's a great system.
Yes.
You got a results board, and you've got a card. I mean, each individual player is the cards are rated as how many hits they're going to get on a number of rolls that you make. It's the quickest sports baseball game I've ever played.
Yeah.
It's as fast as it plays, it's extremely accurate. You get to set your lineup. You get to manage the players. You get to say when your pitcher's had enough and you need to bring in someone from the bullpen. It lets you manage. It's also great for solitaire play if you play it by yourself.
You can knock out a game in 15, 20 minutes, depending on the situation. But you've got,
for anyone who, you probably can't see that.
Can't see it. It's a glare.
There we go.
There you go.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Mr. Mattingly.
Not quite focused, but you can see the card. It's set up to where it's a number-based system. I played thousands of games with the APBA game. Like I say, our dad made many cards whenever we would play so many that we would get tired of playing a certain season. The APBA game, I think, still going. Still going.
Yep.
Or you can order a set and you can get the most current year, or you can get All-Star.
I think them and Status Pro are the only two that are still going. That they're still.
No. What's that one that All-Star baseball card? That All-Star baseball game I bought online. It's
the new one.
It's extremely accurate.
I forgot about that one. Just came out the past few years.
Yeah, but they've gone to a part to where you can't even get the cards.
Right.
They want you to go online so much, and they, I'm all about holding that card and rolling those dice and checking out the results, but now they've got it all internet based to where you've got to go order here and you got to do it here and you got to digitally download just send me the cards.
There is one online game that I like. It's out of the park baseball. It's got but again, you've got to buy if you want the new teams.
Sure.
You got to buy the $35 every year.
Sure.
But it's set up with every major league player, everything from the past on it as well. So as far as baseball games go, APBA has always been my go-to. It's always been my favorite.
Well, it's just done so well. It's easy.
Simple.
It's simple.
Yes.
You read the results. You roll the dice. You look at the card. You get the number. You read the results. It tells you exactly what happened, where your base runners go, who's out. They've got special little nomenclatures on there that if you have an X, you're a certain strikeout pitcher. If you're a Y, you're a certain strike. Yeah, and you have your fast rated players and your slow rated players. You have your guys that can steal bases. You got guys that can't. This one here tells you everything that happens. You roll the dice and it tells you everything that happens. You still have to make managerial decisions. Right. You still have to decide who you're going to hit. You still have to decide, pitcher versus batter, and it's just a great game.
We've done it and played entire seasons. We've done.
Sure.
You got injuries. You got everything that you could.
That's correct.
That if you truly love the stats and you love the following of baseball,
or
any sport.
Well, I'd say APBA. They got a hockey game here. They got a football game here, and I understand the need for video games these days and how much they love doing all this, that, and the other. But these games here that. They teach you more of the game. They help you manage. They help you look at situations, both in hockey and football and
you actually think a little bit.
Auto racing. I got hockey game. I got a couple of football games. I got a basketball game. This is a March Madness
I got made fun of for years. I had APBA. I had a bowling game.
Exactly.
I had the APBA bowling.
But it was great.
I loved it. But that was back in my prime bowling days when I was 11.
The sports board games were just a way of life for us back in the day. We really love them.
Yeah.
We'd appreciate some comments from you guys and tell us kind of down here which games did you enjoy? I'd love to see if there's a game I don't know about. I like to think that I know all of them.
Or if you got questions about any kind of board games,
Exactly.
any kind of interest. I mean,
we'll even walk through a game for you here. We've played so many of these. I don't want to sit here and open one up and start playing it, and then we bore you out of it because it's something you're not really interested in.
Right.
But sports board games are just so much fun to deal with and so much fun to play for me.
And we've got it. I mean, we've got the gamut covered. I mean, between me and him. I mean, like I say, here we got the college basketball. You got college football, baseball, tennis. Auto racing, and actual auto racing, not NASCAR.
Yeah, real, Indy cars, real racing.
There's a boxing game.
I mean, and if you've got children or grandkids and you want them to learn more of the sport, they've got them from this level all the way up to this level. I mean, your Status Pro baseball, like we were talking about, it's very detailed. It's very, very detailed about, some of it gets down, some of them gets down to balls and strikes, whereas other games are just turn a card and here you go. As an example, which one is? Get that bowl bound out. This is a football game. Sorry about that. Got booted off the internet or the camera. I don't know what you do.
That's why we don't talk electronics.
Was it Henry around here?
Back to board game.
Anyway, pull out that bowl bound right there.
Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated games back in the 60s is when they started making these things. They've got everything from...
I wasn't born yet.
Football, basketball. See, this is the basketball, football. They got tennis. They've got baseball. I've got 2 golf games. Sports Illustrated put out a series of games, and they stopped making them in the early 80s, I think. But this game here, for instance, Bowl Bound, I mean, it's a perfect game for the kids that you want to get them off those dadgum friggin' video games. It's just a color-coded system. I mean, you take find one. What is this? This is a 1988 Notre Dame. It's a team chart, not an individual player chart, which is fine. The green is positive yards. The red is negative yards. This is the defensive chart on the back. The offense rolls on this side. The defense rolls on this side. You compare the numbers, and there you go. It's got a list on the bottom of all the players that played for that particular year. And, it seems simple. It seems easy, but it's unbelievably statistically accurate.
Yeah, and it always surprised me about that game because I was always one. I wanted the individual players. I wanted to be able to keep stats on individual players and whatever. And
I wanted to say that I handed off the ball to Jim Brown,
exactly.
And Jim Brown gained 5 yards.
But this game here, I remember when you first got it and I played it. I didn't think it was going to be but it is actually a pretty fun game, and it's quick. And it's and like you said, it's strangely accurate.
Well, and again, like the APBA game we were talking about, a while ago, this is another game that you can play solitaire.
Yes,
you can sit down on we could sit down on a rainy day on a Sunday afternoon when there's nothing else to do. You can sit down and play a football game.
Yeah.
You don't have to have somebody.
How many times I sat when I was sick or not feeling good or couldn't go outside for whatever reason, then just break open the game and start playing.
Well, it's just
you get lost in it, just like a movie.
Well, the idea of the sports board game back then, it just taught us a lot of things. It taught you math. It taught you reading. It helped you keep things organized because as you play these games, you got to keep a lineup. You got to write down the state. What happened? Who's on first? What's on second? Shot it a little Costello there. But same with all this. The football, whether it be football, basketball, baseball. Hell, like I said, I got a tennis game here from Sports Illustrated. I got 2 golf games up over there
golf. I honestly say I don't think I've ever played the tennis game.
That are incredibly, somewhat statistically accurate. It just bothers me a little bit that this is something that's phasing out.
Bad.
You have to get on. Like you said, I think you said there's a board game site online somewhere that these people are.
Yeah, APBA's got APBA is still out there. APBA still has a forum that's out there. There's a website called Tabletop Sports.
I have gone there before.
Yeah, and that's all they do. They have you should check it out if you have any kind of interest. But they have everything categorized, and they have just every kind of it's for sports board games. People they got every sport, everything, and they'll have certain teams. They'll have people who have gone in there and created their own teams or created their own whatever. You can print stuff off, but yeah, it's called Tabletop Sports, and it's very detailed as far as every sport, every game. There's so many board games out there. Board games you didn't even realize they're even out there.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a really good site.
Well,
it's out there. How many people still do it? I don't know. It takes time.
Well, there's a dark group of us out there that still play these things, get together, and I've had a couple of leagues formed before the APBA. We'd get together on a weekend and play a little league with other people, and I mean it's a dying art simply because it just takes time.
It takes time.
People. They want to sit in front of their TV and push a couple of buttons and do this with a controller, and like you say, hit 150 home runs rather than just play an accurately sports-based accurate game that's going to take time.
And even me growing up in the 70s and 80s, and we didn't have a whole lot of video games. Atari had just come out, and that kind of stuff. But I drove some of my friends crazy because you'd hear some stuff, but I wanted accuracy. I wanted stats. I wanted the realistic of.
Well, and the thing, and
if he hit 2 home runs in real life, then he shouldn't be hitting 15.
Exactly. Well, and that's also what drove us to, creating our own. We've created so many board games ourselves over the years. People say, "Why don't you market them?" Well, because you can't market them.
You can't do it.
Because of the rights to people's names and all this kind of mess. I mean, like I said, I've been working on a professional wrestling game for years. Based on the Royal Rumble, and it took me years to finally figure it out, to finally figure out the play mode, and I've got it, and I put the historian to work here, and he helped dig up a lot of names and a lot of specialty moves and a lot of things like that, and
I'm getting ready to start.
I was able to get it going. I mean, I'm up to 450 wrestlers. I've got a game that plays ungodly accurate to professional wrestling. Now I know professional wrestling is scripted.
Yeah, don't start.
Don't go there.
don't
go there. But the game itself, if it could be marketed, I think it's one of those that could sell fairly well and sell well.
Sure.
But the copyrights on the names and whatnot and everything. But I mean, you just worked on a football game. What, 3 or 4 months ago? A concept that Dad and I, we've all had within the family many years ago. You brought it back and
just enhanced it, and it plays very well. Played a whole 1978 season,
and it's statistically accurate. If you use statistics and you put them into a card mode, you can create pretty much any game you want. Right. At least we used to back whenever it was
getting ready to start seeing if I can put together a basketball game.
Sure, sure, and see, this it's a hobby. This is something that we did back in the day, and I really hope there's some of you out there that have done this as well, or enjoy doing this type of thing as well. Leave us some comments down here. I'm really curious as to what kind of games you played back in the day, or still do. I mean, if you still do, that's just fantastic. I'm looking over here. I've got pro basketball, pro baseball, checkerboard games. I've got talking football. I've got a Hall of Fame.
You got your Hall of Fame.
A Hall of Fame football game up there.
Where's that?
That's an old game to where you've got 2 little dials here that go across the board, and you put these little films on top of it, and you hit the button, and the light shines on to show you where the ball goes. I mean, this was made back in the 60s.
Do you have that? That one.
What's that?
The old disc.
No, the spinner? Pop that. And see, on this particular game here, it's the old All-Star baseball game. I actually made my own discs on I loved this game as a kid. See? Bring it down here.
Yeah.
Hold it up.
As a kid, this was fun for me. And
all you do is you take your player. You take the player that you've got. I made these. These came with the game. I made these. You just take the player. Let's say who do you got there?
I got J.R. Richard.
J.R. Well, he's a pitcher. You don't do that. Come on now. Get somebody who can hit the ball. Gary Templeton, he can't hit the ball.
He can't hit the ball.
Here you go. Ken Boyer, Lou Brock. Here we go. Stan Musial. You put Stan Musial in here. You want him to take a swing. You spin this little spinner. It lines up on number 7. Number 7 says he just got a single. A level 2 single. You go to your board and it tells you what a level 2 single is. It tells you where the runners move. It's a simple game.
Simple.
Where you can learn the game. You can just pick your players. You can set up your own team. You can set up your own lineup. And you just play against somebody. You got your little pegs to keep how many outs. You go first, second, third, home. It's games like this that made baseball, made sports in general fun for us back in the day.
Yeah.
why the art has been lost. I mean, there's still all the Dungeons and Dragons and the fantasy board games that are out there, and there's a ton of them. Hell, I got 2 or 3 of them in the house that are just too deep for me to figure out.
Yeah.
But there's nothing funner back in the day for us than to sit at a table and play a board game. Funner.
Yeah.
Is funner not a word? Funner?
Yeah. No,
I guess more fun would be the word to use.
Yep.
But anyway, I mean, it's just a lost art in my eyes.
And it really wasn't that big of a deal when I was a kid either. But I actually drug a lot of my friends into it who didn't know anything about it,
right?
And made them fans of it.
Sure.
I know there's a couple followers, listeners out there that's commented a few on ours. I know we grew up playing board games with them. That
sure.
They'll make comments on here, and it just I don't know. It brings me back, and it's just fun.
Yeah,
it
is.
It's just fun. It's something different. It's like you said, it's not sitting in front of a TV.
Right. It's just one of those things. It's one of those things I've got into as far as collecting. Whenever I run across one at a garage sale or antique store, I'll pick it up and I'll just bring it home, take a look at it. I got one up there that's actually an international soccer board game. I'm not a soccer fan, but you know what? I had to buy the game because I've never seen an international soccer board game, and I got it.
Okay, you had one. What was that game?
Which one?
You had one. Sorry, we're drifting, but yeah.
Let's drift.
Yeah. You had a soccer game at one time.
I did.
They had the felt and the hat. I don't remember what it was called.
I still have it.
It was a weird name. What was the name of that
thing?
It's
called Subbuteo.
Subbuteo. Thank you. We actually flicked the little...
It's right up there in that brown box. It actually had a green carpet that you put on the table. The side, it's a soccer pitch.
Yeah. And
you got little players about yay big. And you put them all over the board, and the ball's out there, and you got to flick the player to hit the ball to make the ball go into the goal. It's similar to the old hockey game where you had the little sticks on the side, but this you just use your finger, and I still have it up there. I'd lay it on the pool table, and me and Archer played every now and then.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've played it a couple times. Yeah. He really likes it.
And Archer's his grandson, so he's teaching him well too.
So it's
definitely a lost art. It's definitely something I say. I'm trying to get my grandson into it because he's a huge baseball fan and sports fan. So I'm trying to get him into a little bit of them. A couple of my sons, I got them into playing some APBA for a while, but of course they kind of grew out of it because that's just the way of the world now.
It's the way of the world.
It takes too much time.
Well, it's too busy. People are too busy. They got too many places to be. They got too many places to go. The cell phone rings, and they're all of a sudden they got to leave. It's a faster time. It's a busier time. People just don't have the time to play. But I tell you what. If
you've got the time,
make the
time, and
it's just a relaxing thing to do. It's something we enjoy. We've always enjoyed it. If anybody out there watching this has a comment, or you want us to maybe break one of these open and play a little bit to show you how they're played, we'd be more than happy to.
Oh yeah. Say one of my favorite ones. We don't have it out here. It's still up there. Is the boxing game.
Oh yeah, and that's another Sports Illustrated game.
Title Bout Boxing, which they come out with a Title Bout 10, 15 years ago, I think.
They did?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not. I don't think it's not as good as the original. But for those of you who love boxing, back when boxing was actually enjoyable.
Yeah.
You got all your weight classes. You have. Yeah. I'm currently going through every weight class from featherweight, flyweight. You get your Ali's all the way up to your Tysons, and you can have those kind of matches and do whole things with them, and even that's accurate.
Well, and that too is something that board games can do for you. You can take a team from the 90s and play against a team from the 60s, say in APBA baseball. You can take an old team and a new team and play them against each other using nothing but stats.
Right.
And manage both teams as if you were the manager, and
just
see who would win.
Yeah.
The statistical accuracy of most of these games is really, really good. Which is another thing. Whenever we're making our games, that's something that it's a challenge to make them that way.
That's why it goes through so many trial and errors of trying to make sure. Okay, this, like I said before, you've got a guy who hit 3 home runs for an entire season. If you play 6 games and he's already hit 7 home runs, something's wrong.
Yeah, you got to change the numbers. You got to fix it. And that for us, that's the fun of the board game. Not just playing it, but
just creating,
either improving it or making more information to use to go against the current that you have. It's just entertaining for us. It's what we've done for many, many years. So
and taking these older games and moving them into current. This
tweak them.
This auto racing game was from when was that from? 70s.
70s.
And I know he's gone and created more current racers for it, and the track itself and the game itself works.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to format it to where you can put the current auto racers into it, and
then you can tweak the number tweak the numbers where the laps are faster than they used to be. So you tweak the numbers to make the laps faster to match the modern day folks.
Yeah.
It's just an entertaining.
I mean, there was I remember as a kid there was a decathlon game that I had.
It's up there.
Are you serious?
I got one of those too.
Okay. Sorry, I mean, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Bad game, but I enjoy playing it.
Sure. Well,
it's not a fair.
Well, to be honest with you, I got a game up there that's for yachting. I got a yachting game, so you can see who can navigate the coast better.
That may be worse than my bowling game.
Well, you have to find these games. I find them and I see them, and I just force myself
to
got to
see what it is.
Well, the thing about buying all of these games, they help me create new games. The wrestling game that I have is actually taking 4. I think I ended up with 4 different game procedures, and put them all into one, and take little bits and pieces out of each one of them to create a game that actually works.
Right. Because I remember at that wrestling, we started off with spinners.
We did. We started off
with this baseball game
with spinners, and then I went to spinners and dice, and then I went to dice only. Then I went back to the fast action cards the Status Pro Baseball's got. Right. And so it's something that evolves and it turns, and it eventually gets you to a point that you enjoy, and it's.
I said you can't market it, you can't do anything like that. But tell you what, for us and those around us and growing up, and we just enjoy playing them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and some of the games that we run across are so basic and so simple, like this little slot shot hockey game. You get little checkers. Each team has a certain number of checkers, and it's nothing more than moving your guys around into a hockey rink checker type board to where your angle is set at a certain place to take a shot on goal. But there's reasons to move here and reasons to move here where you can block here and you can prevent it from here. So there's strategy involved, like a game of checkers or backgammon or chess or whatever. It's a board game with checker type
movement
pieces that still has a sports concept to it to help you, number one, learn the sport, learn the rules. You still have offside, you still have icing, you still have these items in this game, but it's boiled down to such a basic concept, but it puts the sport into it, and it helps you learn the game, it helps you be a part of the game, it helps you enjoy the game, plus you play a board game, plus you get time to spend with a friend. And I don't know, I'm just a sucker.
Yeah. No, this is basically, like I said, other than playing the sport yourself, this was our childhood. This was my childhood. And when games like this March Madness came out, this was one of the first that I can remember. One of the first actual collegiate games, because you just couldn't. Yeah. They couldn't make college games. Football.
Well, Bowl Bound came out before that.
Okay. Yeah.
But the thing about what Bowl Bound did is it only took the football game here, the charts. It took great teams from the past. So you had like 20 teams in there, but they were like the 1981, the 1974 OU Sooners, and the 1972 Nebraska Cornhuskers, and that's what it did. You can't find a season.
No.
Long college game. You couldn't back then. You probably still can't now.
I'm assuming there is now. I say getting on that website. I think there's some that have been created. Whether or not they're any good or not, I don't know.
But you got to get Caleb Williams authorization to do it.
Well, to play it. Gets ownership of the Bears. I'm sure that's coming.
Yeah, we floated back, didn't we?
But this March Madness game, correct? Anybody who loves college basketball,
sure.
I loved this game when it first came out.
Sure.
It's another one that
You play it very quickly.
It's a fast game.
You can play the entire NCAA tournament in about 2.5 hours. Play the whole tournament.
Yeah.
But the year it came out, it only came out with the teams that made the tournament that year. So we had to jump online and get the chart. It's got a little formula with it inside there that teaches you and prepares you on how to create your own teams. So every year that went by, I created more teams, and I've got I don't know how many different years of Final Four.
That is one thing I do.
March Madness.
I do love about the internet. It's made it a lot easier to where before, like with baseball games, we'd have to go break out our encyclopedias and go through page by page. And I remember sitting with my dad in his office, helping him reading off stats to him, and hey, find me the 54 Tigers, and tell me about what he did, how he did. Tell me what Al Kaline stats were that year. Tell me
Sure.
And I learned so much.
Sure.
Doing that, and it was such an enjoyable time, and that's why.
It's part of our life, and sports board games are great. I just, like I say, really hope to hear from some of you guys out there who actually did this as well. Let us know what your favorite ones were back in the day, and
well, like I said, if you got any actual interest in it, we'll talk about some more.
Sure.
Kind of throwing this out there, see what kind of response we get, see if there's still those of you out there like us who play it. And don't know if there's other people out there or that are interested in this kind of thing.
There are other people out there.
Yeah, we are here.
But anyway, appreciate you stopping by for this short little thing we toss out there. Let you know that we mentioned earlier whenever we first started the cast that we'd drop into this. But curious to see if there's anybody else out there that want a little bit more conversation about it. If so, that'd be great. Let us know in the comments and go ahead and subscribe and let us know. And we'll be back with some more later. And we appreciate your time.
Thank you much.
Have a good day.